Hello everyone, this is Astara. I'm doing a podcast today for Beltane. We had the new moon last night, and we have tomorrow in the UK we have the bank holiday for Beltane, which we call May Day. And Beltane is a really interesting time. It's definitely a time of the goddess, and it shows pagan roots in the UK and the British Isles. It's usually a time we're celebrating fertility, and it's kind of interesting because most of my work with women has been focused on fertility. I run and own fertility acupuncture, which is an acupuncture business concentrating on women. I've also priestess to the goddess, so I have done lots of training and working with women and workshops, focusing on the womb, what it is to be female, what it is to be in our feminine energy. It's so interesting because we're coming to a time where we are moving through this density that so many of us have been working through in the 3D, and we're trying to move through this density at the same time reclaiming parts of who we really are, reclaiming our true feminine, our divine feminine, and reclaiming and birthing our sacred masculine aspects. And this is all about cleaning up, cleansing the natural blueprint, the natural structure that has been somehow corrupted and dislodged from our work here on Earth. Sorry, I've just turned my sand timer upside down and it's making this really high-pitched sound. It's just sand falling. But it's kind of interesting that, because I think there has been a lot of frequency changes happening the last month, which have affected the ears, and it was like my ears are like super sensitive when I turned it over. And when I replay this, I'll see if anyone can actually hear it, or whether I'm turning into like a dog with like super sensitive hearing. I can hear everything. So where was I? So I wanted to come on, and we're going to talking about Beltane. So this is a festival of fertility. It's where the sap is rising, and we have all the blossoms in the land coming out of the trees and the flowers, and there is just a general heat returning, a warmth, and this is like a juiciness, a juicy warmth that's coming through, and it's usually about sexuality in the sacral chakra, expressing how we feel about life in our bodies, how we create, how we embody what we feel inside as the yin and the yang principles. And most importantly is the meeting of the masculine and feminine in divine union. And this is what we've been working towards as light workers, creating balance. This is what a lot of the equality fights have been about, that, you know, women have been struggling to gain equality for centuries. And I'm guessing before that maybe men did. I don't know, I don't have the history on that. But we are all working towards a state of balance. And so we've come from the vernal equinox on the 20th of March this year, the spring equinox, which is about balance, restoring balance. And one of the things I was very inspired by was I was reading a lot and of this idea that we now have a balance between the masculine and feminine principles here on Earth. We now have the ability to be in balance. And I found that very, very reassuring, because it may not be present yet in our visual reality, in our physical experience. It may not yet be encoded into the old matrix, the 3D matrix, but it is definitely in the 5D matrix and the new matrix. It's like the energy is here. We have the energy of equality and balance here, and all we have to do is realign with it within ourselves as individuals, realign with it as the principle that we work to in our lives, and that's in our communities, that's in our countries, that's in everything that makes up the physical, political, emotional, social structures that we live in. So here we are. on Beltane, and one of the things I was very drawn to speak to you about today is this idea of beauty. Because wherever there is human beings, wherever there is femininity and masculinity, there becomes a concept of beauty. And I really do believe that beauty is our birthright. Beauty is the natural focus and the natural appreciation of who we are authentically, our authentic selves. It's not for me about makeup and jewelry or whatever people might place on it. It's become about that, but actually that isn't really. I mean, those things all help to create a sense of glamour and physical aesthetic qualities of what the beauty standards are. But if anyone follows Tess Holliday like I do, we can say F your beauty standards, because this has got nothing to do with true beauty. And beauty is the essence of who we are as human beings. Most of my work, when I've started working with the Venus energy and channeling it, I realise is about recognising people's beauty and recognising my own beauty and recognising other people's. I've always found it very, it's been one of those contrasts, isn't it, that I found it very easy to recognise the beauty in other people and to appreciate them. But I've often found it very difficult to appreciate the beauty within myself. And this is one of the mind programs that has been going on in the 3D matrix, and has particularly been heavy on preventing women from recognizing their own beauty. So once we recognize that as a mind program, as something that is not really truly part of our authentic self, it's something about conditioning, something we've learned, something we've maybe had forced upon us, like imposed upon us. And once we begin to really uncover the depth of who we really are and accept ourselves within the heart, we are moving closer to that divine creative nature that we have all been born with, and that we're all beginning to wake up. So I'm going to invite you, during this month of Beltane, it's very traditional to be creative, to learn where your creative is, to learn where your power is in your creations. And it can be through sexual creation, where we create children, or just pleasure, sexual pleasure, or the sacral is also about what we create in terms of from ourselves. So this can be creative endeavours, projects, writing, painting, dancing, moving, speaking, cooking, gardening, anything that we create, engineering, software development. It's all out there, because at this time we are really beginning to relearn and reconnect with what it is to be powerful through creation, to use our creative force, our goddess, our god force, where we are all come from, where we are all divine, to fully create from that power something beautiful in the world. Because as is obvious to me, every individual, you, me, everyone on the planet was created and is beautiful. We were created from a beautiful source, and these lives we might be living might be confusing that, or we go through amnesia where we forget. But re-tapping into that divine nature within us and our own creative power is one of the ways that we can really begin to reconnect, re-own, empower, and create beauty in our world. When I'm scrolling through the internet, which I don't do a lot of, but I do scroll through Twitter, and I have been following the Extinction Rebellion, which I think is amazing. I'm so pleased to hear that we are now making this movement to defend Mother Earth and give Gaia her voice, which is what she desperately needs. Well, what struck me about these beautiful protests, which I know are about social justice, social disruption, creating disruption, is that there was so much art used in them. Peace, they're not non-violent and peaceful, and they're created through this idea that we can do these things, we can create change in a more beautiful way, and we can create what we want to see in the world, how we want the world to be, and that this can be in alignment with beauty and beautiful nature. So I'm going to leave you with that today. If you have any creations, I'd love to see them. Please put them on my Twitter at earthmotherstarchild.co.uk or on my Facebook page. I've also started another group on Facebook, which is an open group called Spiritual Empaths, and I have lots of different things going on there. There was a really exciting share on there the other day with a man that creates heart bowls made out of wood, which was fascinating. So please come join that group and get involved. And I'd love to see what's been created and how you're doing. Okay, so thank you for listening. If you like it, please subscribe to my podcasts. They're all on YouTube, SoundCloud. You can see them on my website, and I share them regularly on Facebook. Okay, blessings. Namaste.